Good morning, job seekers. My name's James. I'm the candidate coach. Thanks very much for joining me this morning. It is Wednesday, the 29th of September, 2021. And today we are going to go through our Job Seeker Masterclass workshop. This is our final workshop that we run at the end of every month. So it's our 8th workshop for September. Hopefully some of you have joined us in our previous workshops already this month. If you haven't, don't worry, because we're going to be running workshops all throughout October as well. And I'll share some of those highlights with you throughout the course of today. But what we're doing today, it's a bit of a summary session, our masterclass. So we're going to lightly touch on all the important things you need to do as a job seeker to land a job. If there's any of the topics that you're really interested in today and you want to take a deep dive into those, well, then you can join us for our individual workshops as we start to run them throughout October. So thanks very much for joining us today. We're coming to you live via our YouTube channel. So you're possibly watching us on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, or on one of our partner sites. Hopefully you can share my screen, see my screen that I'm sharing with you now on our YouTube channel. All right, just a couple of housekeeping things before we kick things off today. We are coming to you, as I said, via YouTube. So if I do drop out for any reason today, please stay on the line and wait for me to rejoin. It doesn't happen very often, but I normally run 2 workshops every week. So every now and then, for some reason, I get disconnected or whatnot. If I disappear, stay where you are and I will join you again. You have been muted, but I'd like you to ask lots of questions, particularly if you're watching on one of our partner sites. You've got the opportunity to type questions in. This is live. I'm coming to you live. If you want to ask a question, type it in. I will answer it as we are going. This is a workshop. It's not a lecture. So I'd love to hear questions from you. But also take lots of notes as you're going along. When you hear something for the first time and it really stands out to you, it's important to remember in that moment what it meant to you. And if you note it down, then you will remember it. At the same time, you can watch a replay of today's workshop. It's going to be up on our YouTube channel within 5 minutes of our session finishing today. You can go back and watch this again. You can share it with a friend or come back and refer to it at a later date. All right, today, what am I hoping that you will learn? What am I hoping you will get out of today? Well, we're going to be going through a lot of things. As I said, we're touching on everything today. So today, what you actually need to know before you begin your job search, the importance of having the right mindset and attitude during the recruitment process, how an effective elevator pitch can make all the difference when you're looking for work. We're going to get you started on creating a great resume. We can't go through a whole resume today because that's a workshop in itself, but I'm going to show you what you need to do to get started on creating a great resume. Likewise with cover letters, why they still matter. I'm going to share my formula with you for how you can nail it. I'm going to show you how to effectively call a recruiter about a job. So if you've seen a position that's advertised that you really like, how can you call up? Also, interview preparation. That's a big subject. We're going to talk about some of the things that you need to do to prepare well for interview, how you can communicate effectively throughout the recruitment process, how to negotiate salary well. And then throughout all of today, as I've mentioned, you can ask any questions that you like. So we've got a lot. We've got a lot that we're going to get through today in under 90 minutes. We're going to be touching on all these subjects. Don't think today that you have to change everything or you have to be able to understand everything that I'm saying and learn from everything. If you can leave today with one thing that you're going to do to improve the way you go about looking for work, then your time will have been well spent with me this morning. So who am I? Before we kick things off, my name, as I said, is James Whitcomb. I've been a director at Smart Recruitment. Many of you will be watching this on our Smart Recruitment partner site. And I've been in recruitment since 2005. So in November, which is only a couple of months away, I'll clock up my 16th year in recruitment. And over that time, I've conducted over 3,000 interviews, over 600 group assessments, and placed over 1,000 people into jobs. So that's my background. And we launched the Candidate Coach in December 2019 because we wanted a platform like we've got now for job seekers to come to and find all the resources that they need to go away and apply for roles and to hopefully land a position. Alrighty, so we're going to kick things off with what you actually need to know before you begin your job hunt. Now, for many of you watching this, you've already begun your job hunt. I'm aware of that. You're not sitting there about to start it today. But even if you have commenced and you've been looking for work, maybe you've been looking for work for some time, there are some really important things that you need to be aware of. So the first thing is planning. Planning will save you time, effort, and sanity. What do I actually mean by planning? Well, for a lot of people, when they start looking for work, they think, I'm going to start looking for work today. They quickly scratch up their resume. They jump on Seek or Indeed. They start scrolling through jobs. And then when they find a job that looks okay, they apply for it. Think, okay, that looks all right. Keep scrolling down the page. Hey, there's another job there, that one. Yeah, that looks okay. I'll apply for that. An hour later, you've applied for 10 jobs. And you're like, oh, those first couple of jobs, they actually weren't really what I was looking for. And then a couple of days later, you're kind of like, oh, my resume, I've been sending it out, but I'm not really that happy with it. So what is really important for you to do before you start applying for jobs or before you apply for any more jobs is to plan. How am I going to go about my job hunt? What actually work do I want to be doing? Most people just go and apply for the same job that they've previously had. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you really want to be doing. But this is a point in your life and in your career when you've actually got the opportunity to think, what do I really want to do? Have a think about the skills and experience that you have that you think are going to be most valued. If you were a potential employer and you looked at your resume, where would you see the value? What skills or experience have you got that you think are going to be most valued? So stop applying for roles that you're not qualified, skilled, or interested in. All it's going to do is waste your time and lead to more rejection and make you feel pretty downhearted. Researching your market thoroughly will allow you to be a smarter and a more targeted job seeker. So what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, let me ask you this question. How many vacancies are in your industry at the moment? Do you know? If you're looking for a customer service role in a contact center, there are thousands of jobs available. If you're looking for a chemical engineering job in the mining field, there might not be many jobs available. It's really important that you've got an understanding. Which recruiters advertise the jobs that you're looking for? And my method here at the Candidate Coach is 2. You should really only be applying for 2 jobs a day. The reason for that is multiple. First of all, I want you to be putting in time and effort into each application, as I'll show you today. You should be spending a minimum out 1 hour or 2 hours on each application. Secondly, even if you're applying for 2 jobs a day, that's 14 jobs a week. If you're applying for 2 jobs a day for the month, that's 60 jobs. That is more than enough because you want to keep track of the jobs that you're applying for. So don't just see any ad and throw your resume at it and think, I'll wait and see what comes back. Apply for jobs that you really want, that you are going to put the time and effort into. So stop rushing out and applying for as many jobs as possible and start approaching it more thoughtfully. And thirdly, the way you handle rejection may land you a job or may help you land a job. You are going to get rejected a lot when you are going for work. Every single candidate, well, not every single, 99.9% of candidates get rejected for jobs. Everybody gets rejected at some point in time. It sounds easy for me to say this to you, but the way you handle that rejection with grace and dignity and politeness will help your own mental state, but it will also allow that person to want to deal with you further again. So keep that in mind. When we tell candidates they've been unsuccessful for a job, we actually might have the right role for them tomorrow. But if they've been quite rude and abrupt in the way they were given that message, it might rule them out. So we need to plan, we need to research, and we need to be prepared that we're going to get rejected as we go along. All right, question for everybody. I want you to type this into the comments box. How are you feeling today? How are you feeling? Pick from this list of emojis that you see on the screen there now. Who on the screen there best represents how you are feeling right at this point in time? I'll give everyone a moment to type in a response. We've got a couple of happy comments. We've got somebody showing their teeth. So it's a bit of a funny question, isn't it? Why would I be actually asking you? Why am I asking you how you are feeling today? Well, I've got a follow up question. How do you present yourself as a job seeker? So, same list of emojis. How do you actually present yourself as a job seeker? If you could encapsulate the way you write your resume, the way you speak on the phone to a recruiter, the way you interview, the mindset and attitude that you have, which emoji would you pick now? Because as a recruiter, we see many of these ones. We see a lot of people on the top couple of lines who are happy. They're motivated. They're excited. We also see some from down the bottom, the bottom left-hand corner here, people who are a bit nervous. They're a bit worried. We see people who are angry. They're frustrated that they can't find a job. They're annoyed that their last employer really let them down. But you need to realize that the way you present yourself as a job seeker can actually determine whether or not you get the job. So, someone's written in the comments box, very dedicated as my job applications are driven from passion in an industry. What a great answer. That's a wonderful answer. Thank you for typing that in. We want to see passion and enthusiasm in candidates. So, why is it so important to have what I call a job winning attitude and mindset? Well, I'm going to share a quote with you now from Ryan Biggs. He's the head of recruitment, basically, at the Australian Financial Complaints Authority, which are a very large employer. And Ryan writes, I will always go for someone with a fantastic attitude that may need a little bit of development over someone who has all of the skill, but a bad attitude. So you can have all of the skill, you can have all of the experience, but you can actually still be beaten by a candidate who has a great attitude. So if you've got the skill and you've got the experience, that kind of sounds a little bit unfair in some ways, doesn't? But at the same time, if you don't have all of the skill and you don't have all of the experience, but you've got the right mindset and you've got a great attitude, yes, you can land the job. See, what a lot of job seekers don't realize is that, particularly when we get to the point of interview, we might be interviewing 5 candidates. And it's very likely that if you're getting to interview, you are good enough to get to do the job. So are the other 4 candidates. So the one lucky person who gets selected out of those 5 often gets selected on attitude, whether or not they realize it, whether or not the recruiter realizes it. Showing positive attitude and positive mindset is really important. Again, a comment that's come through is an old general manager of mine always said positivity, bring positive and achievable outcomes, whereas negativity brings about the wrong mindsets. That is exactly right. So you might be feeling a bit downtrodden. You might have been looking for work for 12 months. And I'm sorry to hear that. And I know that some of you watching have been looking for work for a long time. But when you have an interaction with somebody about a job, you don't want them to remember you as the person that's been out of work for 12 months and is really quite despondent. You want them to remember you as the candidate's got really good skills and sounded really positive, because they're going to want to choose that type of person. So put yourself in the shoes of a recruiter. Who would you rather employ? If we bring back up our list of emojis, who would you choose to employ from the list of emojis you can see on your screen now? Because that is how you need to present yourself when you are looking for work. So how do we actually show having a positive attitude? It's easy for me to say that. It's easy for me to say you need to be positive. How do we actually show it? Well, first of all, it's a choice. You can actually choose to be positive. Even if you are not feeling great today, if you need to have a phone interview or a Zoom interview or a face-to-face interview, you can choose, okay, I'm going to be positive for this next 30 minutes. Even if I need to fake it, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to choose to be positive. Do it while you're writing your resume, though. Believe that you're going to have a positive outcome. So before you apply for a job, before you have a phone interview, before you have a face-to-face interview, choose to be positive. You want to walk out of that room thinking, yes, I showed myself at my very best. Okay, consider, how do I actually want to be remembered? So when you leave the room, how do you want people to remember you? Thirdly, follow up with the recruiter. A lot of people think, oh, I'm not allowed to follow up with the recruiter. But the answer is yes, you definitely can follow up with the recruiter. Wait 3 or 4 days, do it politely, and you will get some feedback most of the time. But also, what it's doing is it's showing you positive. I would like this job. I'd like to know the outcome of my application. I'm really interested in working for you. So don't be negative, whinging, complaining, arguing, or unresponsive. Now, you might have left your last job for a terrible reason. Something terrible might have happened to you in that particular workplace. But again, you don't want the recruiter to remember you for being in that situation. You want them to remember you for having great skills, great experience, and being really positive. Some of the things that have happened in our past, we need to leave behind if we want to improve our future. All right, quick activity. I'm actually not going to ask you to answer the following. Don't actually answer the following, but write these things down. So change please answer with write down the following. So first of all, write down 1, name. Write down name. 2, I want you to write down overview of your work history. 3, write down your top 3 skills. And 4, the type of work you are looking for. I'm just going to leave that on the screen and pause for a moment so you can write that down and have a sip of my coffee. So write those down or take a screenshot of it, because I'm going to take you through why I actually want you to write these things down. All right. So what I've actually asked you to do here is what we're going to create, is an elevator pitch. So why are we going to create an elevator pitch, and what is an elevator pitch? And finally, why is it useful when you're looking for work? So an elevator pitch is a brief, persuasive statement. A brief, persuasive statement. So what does that mean? Well, it gets its name from the situation where, imagine if you got in the elevator with somebody. If you got in the elevator with somebody on the ground floor and you were going up to the 30th floor for a job interview, and the person behind you said, "Oh, hey, are you James? I'm actually meeting with you on the 30th floor. While we're going up in the elevator, why don't you tell me a bit about yourself?" So you've got that time together, that 30, 60, 90 seconds in the elevator. And so you have a brief, persuasive speech ready that you can give. So when might having an elevator pitch come in handy in recruitment? Well, all of the time, because the most common interview question in the world is, tell me a little bit about yourself. I use this question at the start of every single interview. At the start of every single phone interview, I say to the candidate, "Thanks for speaking with me today. Just to start things off, tell me a bit about yourself." When I have a face-to-face interview with a candidate, again, I sit down, "Thanks for coming in today. Just to start the interview, would you mind just telling me a bit about yourself?" Now, a lot of candidates think it's a really friendly question. It's pretty soft. It's not really asking me anything. And that's true, but don't drop your guard here. This is your first opportunity to create a great impression and to put your best foot forward. So the best answer to tell me a bit about yourself is your elevator pitch. You can set the tone really early. So this is our elevator pitch. This is what we need to do. We need to write down our name. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward for all of you. We need to write down an overview of our work history. Now, when I say overview, I'm like 2 or 3 sentences here. It is an overview, 2 or 3 sentences. We then need to have our top 3 skills. Now, our top 3 skills here, I want you to have at least 2 of them to be what we call tangible skills. So a lot of people say, "Oh, my top 3 skills, I'm a hard worker, I'm a team player, and I'm a good communicator." Those things are all great, but guess what? Anybody can say that. And sometimes it doesn't really mean anything. Teamwork, communication, hard worker. It's not justifiable. It's not quantifiable. It's not tangible. So if you are going for an accounting role, I want at least one of your top 3 skills might be that you've recently completed training on MYOB software. You're fully up to date with all the MYOB accounting software packages. With 2 of your skills, with 2 of them, I want them to be tangible. If you worked in sales, for example, I would like you to, if it is true, one of your top 3 skills is, I haven't missed a sales target for the last 2 years. It's very specific. It is tangible. Yes, you can use communication. Yes, you can use hard work. Yes, you can use team player, but that can only take up one of the three spots. And then finally, what type of work you are looking for, that can only be answered by you. All right, I'm going to show you an elevator pitch that I've created now. I don't want you to be intimidated by it. I'm a recruiter, as I said, of nearly 16 years experience. So my elevator pitch should be good. And I've worked on it a lot. So here would be my elevator pitch. Hi, my name is James Whitcomb. For 15 years, I've worked in recruitment, beginning as a recruitment consultant before progressing onto management and then onto being a director, my current position. My top skills would involve interviewing candidates in a way that uncovers their true motivation, public speaking and presenting, as well as coaching and training candidates to ensure they are giving themselves the best chance of landing a new job. I'm currently looking for a new role where I can focus more of my time on training, coaching, and assisting candidates as opposed to being a recruiter. So as I said, that's an elevator pitch that I've practiced and prepared a lot over time. So it should be really, really good. What I want you to do is to go away and to prepare your own elevator pitch. So you need to create it. So you've got the 4 questions there. Go away and write it. Write down, your name will be straightforward. Write down an overview of your work history, your top 3 skills and what you're looking for. And then rewrite it a couple of times till you've got it quite succinct. You've got it quite succinct until it is perfect. It's a finalized version of it. Then what I'd encourage you to do is to save it. So print out a copy and stick it on the fridge, have a copy on the kitchen bench, save a copy in your phone here. Because if a recruiter calls you and says, tell me a bit about yourself, you're going to think, oh, my elevator pitch. And then your brain's going to freeze. But if you've just got to look at your fridge or at your phone, you can see the words there and they'll start coming back to you. So have it ready. Have it ready because we're creating our elevator pitch because we want to use it. I want you to use it. And if you can answer that first question really well and you can give me your elevator pitch, you've created a great first impression and you're off to a really good start. So type in the comments box for me. Do you think you can go away and create an elevator pitch? If I asked you to do something here that's too hard, or do you think that you can go away and create an elevator pitch that's actually going to really improve the way you answer the most common interview question, which is tell me a little bit about yourself? And some recruiters or some people that are interviewing you, they don't even realize that it's an interview question when they ask it to you. But if you can give a great answer and in the form of an elevator pitch, then you are going to really impress them right from the beginning. All right, let's move on. I have got my next question for you, and I want you to type your answer in here for this one for me, please. How long do you think a recruiter spends reading your resume? How long does a recruiter spend reading your resume? Type your answer in. Again, I'll give everybody a moment just to have a think about what their answer might be and to type something in. And I'd like to see your answer because that really helps me get an understanding of how long you're preparing your resume for. So the first guess has come through at 2 minutes. The second one has come through at 1 minute. I'm going to make a few people a little bit disappointed. One person said no longer than maybe the front page. That's a good answer. Yep, that's a really good answer. All righty, I'm going to reveal the answer. 7 seconds. 7 seconds. Eye tracking study shows recruiters look at resumes for 7 seconds. Now, as a recruiter, I'm not proud of that stat. I'm really not proud of that stat. Now, a couple of things I want to say just to clarify things there. That doesn't mean that every single resume is only read for 7 seconds, but it's at the 7-second mark where the recruiter decides, yes, I'm going to keep reading this resume, or no, it's going in the bin. It's going in the bin. So we've got to create a great impression really on. So let's go into this in a bit more detail. So second dot point here is what we're going to look at. So resumes that succeeded in capturing the recruiter's attention featured simple layouts. So it's simple layouts with clear section and heading titles. Resumes organized by E or F pattern reading tendencies also did well. So an E or F pattern, I'd like you to imagine if this was your resume, a big capital E or a big capital F. So we've got a lot of, a couple of headings and then things that come off down the side. They did well, especially when they utilized bold titles. So we like bold titles and bulleted accomplishments. Resumes did not fare well when hindered by cluttered layouts, a lack of white space, so we do need white space. Also turned off recruiters, as did text that didn't flow the eye down the page. So there's some of the things that we need to do. So if you're not sure what you're getting off your resume, a really good activity is to get your phone or get a stopwatch. If this was my resume, place it face down, press start, pick up your resume and look at it for 7 seconds. Stop, put it down. What information did you get off your resume in those 7 seconds? What information? If your best information is on page 2 or 3, then it's probably not being read. This is why bold titles and bulleted points are really, really important. So I'm not going to go through a whole resume today. We are running a resume workshop, a 1-hour resume workshop just next week, and I'll share those details with you. But I want to show you how to better describe a role. But first of all, what is a resume? It is a factual account of your employment and study history. So it has dates, times, locations, qualifications, titles, but it needs to sell you. It needs to sell you. Your resume is a sales document. It is a marketing piece. It is an advertisement for you. So it's got to sell you. It's got to promote you. It's got to mention your best features. Does your resume sell you? Or is it really boring? Is it quite academic? Is it just black words on white paper that look really boring and sanitized? So I want to show you how to sell your experience, because selling your experience and your achievements is the best way of going about it. This is a real live example from someone I met a number of years ago, and she was a sales representative at a company, and I've taken the name off. But this is how she described her job. A salesperson for 3 years, and she sold goods and traveled to meet customers and keep them happy. She's not lying there. That's what she did. But after interviewing her and hearing about what she really did, this is the after. So you're seeing the before. Now this is the after. This is what we changed it into. So first of all, you'll see the bold headings and the bullets that are used. I've used, I think, 9 here for primary responsibilities. I'd probably use less than that now. I'd probably recommend 6 or 7. But you can see it's easy to read with the dot points. So a couple of things here. First dot point, maintain regular contact with a large portfolio of business clients. Straight away, I get a good understanding there. Third last dot point, attend at least 3 new business appointments per day. It's great if you can use numbers or figures on your resume because it helps to quantify. Now, if she just had 10 new business appointments, I don't know whether she's attending 1 a month or 10 a day. But here she's told me 3 a day. So I know she's probably doing 15 a week or 60 a month. It really helps me understand. And then we look at the achievements. She was the salesperson of the year in 2014, exceeding her sales budget by 21%. She consistently met her KPIs, and the third dot point, she helped increase product sales from 400,000 to 800,000. Now, for being salesperson of the year in 2014, she was given a brand new car. That was the prize for being the salesperson of the year for this company in 2014. A brand new car. That is how well she did. That's how good she was at selling. But look, on her previous resume, she didn't have it on there. She was lucky to get an interview. She mainly got an interview because she'd been in the role for 3 years, and 3 years in one sales job is impressive. But she had won a car. That's how well she did. So make sure you show your experience. Make sure you sell your achievements. Put some achievements on to your resume. All right, as I said, we're going to do a whole section on resumes next week. So the summary for resumes is sell your skills, experience, and achievements. Make it easy to read. Bold headings, dot points. It should be visually appealing. It's okay to be bold. It doesn't have to be black words on white paper. You can use a graphically designed resume. And you need to tailor it for every job. So you need to, if you've got one resume that you're setting out for every job, you're already doing it wrong. You need to tweak. As I said, you can have 6 or 7 dot points. So you need to choose a 6 or 7 dot points that talk to the role you're applying to. You don't have to change the whole resume for every job, but you need to tweak it. So I've had a question come through. Would you factor dot point importance over short, sharp sentences? Yes, dot points are far more easy to read. Short, sharp sentences, I don't really like, even though you said they're short and sharp. Imagine being a recruiter. This will be happening today. Some recruiters will read 100 resumes today. If you have to read 100 resumes of short, sharp sentences or 100 resumes of dot points, the dot points are far easier to read. Thank you for that question. All right, cover letters. Let's move on to cover letters. Do you have a cover letter? Are you submitting a cover letter with every application? Hopefully, the answer is yes, because some recruiters read cover letters before they read resumes. Now, some recruiters will tell you, no, I don't read cover letters, and that's fine. They don't read them. But guess what? You don't know if the recruiter that you're applying to does or does not read cover letters. So if you choose to leave off a cover letter, you are taking a huge gamble that the recruiter doesn't read a cover letter. Some of my colleagues like to read the cover letters first, and if the candidate doesn't have a cover letter, their resume may not even get opened. So my advice is, as an applicant, you can only submit two things: a resume and a cover letter. So why would you pass on one of these? All right, not submitting a cover letter is a huge risk. So what is a cover letter? Well, first of all, we use different language. People forget about the word letter. You are writing it to somebody. You are addressing it to a person. Even if you don't know who the person is or what their name is, you are writing it to a person. So you personalize it. We use different language. We need to research the company and position and include that information in our cover letter. It must be 1 page long, never more, unless we've been asked to address an extensive selection criteria. And finally, we need to proofread it multiple times. So the biggest mistake candidates make is they use the same cover letter for every vacancy. Now, on all of my own personal ads, when I'm advertising for a role, I will include my name on the bottom of the advertisement. Most people won't, but I will include my name. This is a simple way for me to actually see who is taking some time to actually write a cover letter specifically for that job. So how do we go about it? Well, I'm going to give you my formula here. I'm going to give it to you fairly quickly, and we'll go through this again in more detail in next week's workshop. 4 simple paragraphs. I'm going to take out the hard work and make it simple. 4 simple paragraphs. Paragraph 1, we specifically address the role and the company you're applying to. 2 sentences should be enough. So something like, Dear James, please find attached, my resume for the sales role at Smart Recruitment. If you can do that, you are probably already into the top 25% of cover letters. That's how simple it is to do a cover letter that stands out. Paragraph 2, okay, this is where we start to do some work. We need to mention 2 or 3 things that we know about the organization or the vacancy. Now, you're only going to know these things by doing your research. So we go onto their website, we Google them, we find something about them in the news, but we mention something that we know. The purpose here is to show we've done some research. We want to stand out from the crowd, stand out from the other cover letters, stand out from the other candidates in this paragraph by showing we've done some research. So yes, we can find something that's on the front page of the website and mention that, or we can dig a little bit deeper into some news, into some focus on ourselves now. So we're going back and we're focusing on ourselves. Our own background. Sorry, I think we might have dropped off the line there for a moment, but looks like we're back. Mention 2 or 3 things here that from our own background. So paragraph 2, we're talking about the company or the role. Paragraph 3, it's about us. What skills or experience have we got that are relevant to the position? And that's going to change for every job because we can only pick a couple of things. And then paragraph 4, it's a brief conclusion. Something like, thanks very much for reading my cover letter. I hope to hear back from you soon. So it's 4 paragraphs, but paragraphs 1 and paragraph 4 are very simple. Paragraph 1 and 4 are simple. It's paragraph 2 and 3 where you need to do a little bit of work. That's where you need to do a little bit of work. So I'm just going to leave that up on the screen there for you for a moment, just so you can take a quick screenshot of that before we move on. And I'm going to show you an example. Okay, so again, don't be too intimidated by this example because I'm an experienced recruiter of 15 years and I train candidates on how to write cover letters. So here's an example. So, dear Rupert, so first of all, I've used the person name. I'm writing to you as an enthusiastic applicant for the marketing coordinator vacancy Duke Industries. So name, company, and job. So we've been very clear here. Now, 2, we're going to show what we know about the company. I've long followed Duke Industries and was impressed to see them win an award at last month's National Marketing Awards. To be recognised for digital innovation is a great achievement. As a passionate marketing graduate, I've studied Duke Industries' graduate marketing program and am impressed with commitment to both technical and holistic learning. Now, paragraph 3, we're going to move on to talking about ourselves relevant to the job. Whilst completing my master's in marketing last year, I was given the opportunity to work as an intern in the marketing department at Rosenberg & Associates. This 12-month placement included 4 rotations. However, it was digital marketing which I enjoyed the most. I worked with several of our top-tier clients and gained great exposure. I was awarded the Intern of the Year from a pool of 20. And then paragraph 4, we're going to do a brief conclusion. I look forward to hearing back from you regarding my application. I'll be able to make myself available at short notice. So that cover letter sounds great. I know because I wrote it, but the structure here is simple. 4 paragraphs. 4 paragraphs. Here's the same cover letter in a slightly different template. As you'll see, the text from Dear Rupert down is exactly the same. What I've done here that's different is I've put my name in a heading and my contact details. I've added a headshot and I've added a little bit of a profile too. Whether you choose the first cover letter or the second template, it's completely up to you. But those 4 simple paragraphs are something that I feel that you can replicate. And once you've done it a couple of times, you'll be able to tweak it easily between jobs. All right, let's talk about how far we've come already this morning. So what have we gone over today? So we have research. We've talked about researching and finding the right role. We've created an elevator pitch. We've talked about tailoring our resume for each job and tailoring our cover letter. Now what? Now what are you actually doing after you've submitted your application? What are you doing? Well, my advice is to pick up the phone and call. But I know that you feel like this. Oh, pick up the phone and call. Are you mad, James? That sounds like the most daunting, intimidating, nerve-wracking thing ever. Guess what? Yes, you are right. It is very nerve-wracking. It is very intimidating to pick up the phone and call about a job. So I'm not saying you have to do it. You do not have to do this next step. I would encourage you to give it a try because what I'm going to show you is a formula for how you can actually make a phone call to help yourself stand out and to dramatically improve your chances of getting the job. I recommend you make this phone call just after you've applied so that the person has access to your resume. So how do we do it? Well, I'm not mad and you need to be brave. So how to effectively call a recruiter about a job? So there's 6 or 7 steps here because the worst case scenario is we call up the recruiter and we just say, hi, I'm calling about the job. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know I've sent you my resume. No, I don't really have any questions. If that's the experience, you better not call because you're decreasing your chances. So I'm going to show you how you can prepare well. So first of all, you need to know the name of the person you're wanting to speak to. So you might get through to me, James, or you might get to reception. You ask for James, but also expect them to answer the phone. That sounds really silly, but a lot of people think, oh, I'll probably just call and leave a message because I'll be busy. So expect them to answer a phone. Okay, you need a printer or you need a computer screen because you want everything in front of you. You want the advertisement in front of you. You want your resume, your cover letter, everything laid out in front of you, your elevator pitch, your questions written out in front of you. So you've got all the information here. So if the recruiter asks you a question or you forget something, you've just got to look down and there's your elevator pitch, or there's your resume with your achievements, or there's your application. Have everything in front of you so you feel calm and you feel organized. Research that you've done in your cover letter, you should have your notes with you. So have some notes with you and be clear to the recruiter about which role you're referring to. Some recruiters work on 10, 20, 50 jobs at one time. So you need to say, "Hi, James, I've sent through my application for the accounts payable position. I'd love to speak to you about that role." Now, the most important part of the whole call is number 5. You need to have 2 or 3 prepared questions to ask. You can write these down. They can be written down in front of you so you don't forget them. Now, the questions that you ask here are the reason for your call. So, "Hi, James, I'm just calling up. I've submitted my application. I'm wondering if you've got a couple of minutes because I've got a couple of questions." Most of the time, the recruiter will say yes. Now, the questions that you ask here can dramatically change your suitability as a candidate for the job. If you ask really good questions here, you will impress the recruiter. So, in the research that you've done, find out some really good questions. Don't ask what the salary is. Don't ask what the location is. Don't ask what are the hours. Don't ask anything that's on the job ad. Prepare a couple of questions that show the level of research you've done, that'll highlight your skills. Make the recruiter think, "Wow, this person's done a lot of research." But make sure the questions are relevant. Make sure the questions are relevant. I can't tell you what the questions are going to be because they're going to be job specific. Maybe write down 5 questions. And when you're on the conversation, if a couple of things get answered, you don't want to be stuck with no questions. But if you can ask 2 or 3 max, you could really go from just being one candidate in the pool of 100 to suddenly you're booked straight in for an interview. Keep the call brief, but be prepared. It could go straight into a 25-minute phone interview. And if you're not feeling confident, then practice. Practice, practice, practice. This, for me, is the one piece of advice that if you can actually do it, I feel will make the biggest difference in terms of your chance of landing a job. I have seen many candidates call up, even to me on the phone. We start talking, they sound great. They ask really good questions. Before you know it, they're booked in for an interview. I haven't even looked at their resume yet. I haven't looked at anyone's resume. I've got 90 resumes to go through. But guess what? I've booked in the candidate who called up, sounded good on the phone, was well prepared, and asked me some very good questions. Alrighty. So let's talk about the type of research. So I mentioned research is really important. So the research that we need to do, it actually starts, as we know, before we even apply. So where do we go to do this research? Well, I'm going to go through this quickly because you should know. For the organization, we go to the website, the careers page, or we Google them. But if we want bonus points, find some recent news about them. Find something that the recruiter doesn't know. And then for the position, we should have read and understood the job advertisement. And if there's a position description available, we should ask for it, particularly if we're getting in for face-to-face interview. Ask to have a copy of the position description. But for bonus points, try to get an understanding of where the position fits into the structure of the organization and how it adds value. All right, so let's say we've got to interview. We called up and we actually did really well. We did really well. We asked a couple of questions. We had a chat and the interviewer said they'd love us to come in and we've got our interview tomorrow. Well, you probably know the answer to this question, but how are you going to present yourself at interview? Who are we going to pick to turn up on our face from this list of emojis? Well, again, it's got to be from probably that top line or early on the second line, maybe not the blowing kisses or love heart eyes ones, but you know what I mean. We need to present the very best version of ourselves at interview. So I often say to job seekers throughout the course of the year, on some days you might feel like 100 out of 100. You feel great. Some days you might feel 50 out of 100. Some days you might feel 10 out of 100. But when you're going along to interview, you need to show the very best version of yourself. You need to show the employer, this is me at my best. You need to sell yourself to them. Now, practice makes you feel good and gives you a bit of confidence. You need to mentally prepare that you're going to get nervous and just tell yourself, I'm going to get nervous. But giving yourself plenty of time to arrive and stay calm is also really important. So the day before, that's when our preparation starts. We need to make sure that we're well organized. We know how we're going to get there. We need to make sure that everything for the day is ready in advance. So we know how we're going to get there. We're going to park or we're catching the train. All of our clothes and shoes are ready the day before. You don't want to be pulling out your white shirt in the morning to iron it and it's got a stain on the collar. And you think, oh, I haven't got another shirt. What am I going to do? Likewise with your documents, have them printed in advance. You don't want to wake up and go, I've got to still print that thing. Or have we got any ink? Doing these things will allow you to go to bed the night before, at least thinking, I've done everything. I'm prepared. There's nothing worse than lying in bed the night before and thinking, I've still got to find my shoes and what pants am I going to wear and what do I have to print out? Get organized the day before. Then the morning of the interview, it's really important you have breakfast. I do a lot of interviewing in small rooms in the morning, and if someone has bad breath because they haven't had breakfast, it creates a really bad impression. And it sounds a little bit funny, but guess what? It actually happens all the time. I interview a lot of candidates that unfortunately do have bad breath. Oops, sorry about that. That shouldn't have popped up there. In the morning, some of the other things are very straightforward. It's all about, be well presented, be well dressed, neat and clean, avoid strong odors. We don't want to be smoking unless we have to, but make sure you give yourself plenty of time. So arrive at location 30 or 40 minutes beforehand, but don't announce yourself at reception that early. Announce yourself at reception with 5 to 10 minutes to go. Now, take along to interview. First of all, I recommend you take a compendium. That is a photo of a compendium. You can get one at a news agency or at Officeworks. They're normally $20 or $30. And if you turn up to interview with a compendium under your arm, you look very professional. I take one to all of my business meetings with me. But in the compendium, you want a copy of everything that's listed there. It's always good to be prepared. So take a copy of your resume and your cover letter and your elevator pitch. Take 5 or 6 questions written down. So again, at the end of the interview, you're going to be asked, do you have any questions for me? There's nothing wrong with looking down and going, yeah, I did prepare a couple of questions. You wouldn't ask 6 questions, but if you only take 3 questions and some of them are already answered, you don't want to be stuck. So take a compendium to the interview and put in it all the things you need. And then after the interview, send a thank you. Send a thank you email or a text message just to thank the recruiter. My colleagues absolutely love it when a candidate does this. It can make a big difference and it can make all the difference. Again, if it's a competitive process, we've got 3 candidates who are all just as good. One sent me a thank you email. They've got really good manners. Maybe the thank you email is enough to get you the job. And then following through with commitments is really all about if the recruiter said, hey, can you send me those reference details? Or I'm going to send you a link to a test. Can you please do that today? Do it straight away. Be responsive. All right, job interview video preparation. So obviously at this point in time, for many of us, we are doing a lot of video interviews. So I'm going to actually show you how to best prepare for a video interview by showing you a short video. Hi job seekers, James here from The Candidate Coach. One of the most common questions we've been receiving lately is around how to best prepare for a video interview. Due to the circumstances over the last 12 to 18 months, video interviews have become the most common way of meeting a candidate, replacing the in-person, face-to-face interview. So here are my top tips for what you need to do to make sure you are best prepared and presenting yourself as well as you possibly can when your interview is over video. So there's 4 main things that you really need to consider. The first thing is camera height. This is the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, is getting the height of their camera wrong. If you've got a laptop, for example, that is sitting on a desk, you need to lift it up. The camera should always be at eye height. You want to imagine the lens of a camera is the eyeball of a person. So if you are looking down at your laptop or your phone, it's going to look back up your nose. So keep the camera positioned at eye height. One of the great ways to do that is to buy a tripod, something like this. So if you don't have a tripod, it's well worth going out and spending the money. Here's another one that I've got here. This one in particular I find to be really, really good. These have both got lights which help, but this one here, you can adjust it to a full standing height if you like. And it's available for not much money from a retail store. The second thing that is really important is the lighting. So having the light shining on your face. You don't want to have light shining from behind you because that creates a lot of glare. So have the light shining on your face, sit with a window facing you so that you are looking nice and clear on camera. The third thing is audio. You need to be in a nice quiet space so your voice comes across clearly, so that you don't have to yell, so that the sound is not distorted. If you are using a laptop, make sure you check about the sound direction. Some microphones only record from directly in front, and if you tilt your head sideways, the audio quality can go down quite significantly. And the fourth thing is, remember to show some personality with video interviewing. A lot of people speak to a camera in a different way that they speak to a person. So again, look at the lens of the camera and imagine you're speaking to a person. Smile, talk with your hands if that's what you do, but don't look around the room. If you're nervous, don't look down at your hands. Look at the camera and give an answer as if you were giving it to a person. This can be challenging, particularly if you are being asked to record answers and there's not actually a person that you're speaking to, but personality definitely comes through on video, so make sure you show yours. And with everything, practice. If you're not sure how you're going to present, or you think, I don't think this is going to work really well, set up your camera, hit record, and just speak to the camera. Talk, see how you look, and practice several times. This is going to be the new norm, or not the new norm, it is the norm for quite some time now, so it's really important that you understand how to best prepare for video interviewing. Good luck. Alrighty, so let's talk a little bit more now about communication, because when job seekers are looking for work, you think about it in sections, don't you? Yes, application, resume and cover letter, interview preparation. But there's actually some things that you can do throughout the process, some small things that can make all the difference. One of those things is communicating well with the recruiter. Now, what I actually mean by that is being responsive is really, really important. It's actually surprisingly difficult sometimes to reach job seekers, or they're surprisingly slow with their feedback or to get back to us with things. So how, during the recruitment process, can we show good communication and positive communication? Well, first of all, answering the phone in a positive and a professional manner. Now, I'll start off by saying you must have an active voicemail. If you are watching this and you do not have an active voicemail, or I cannot leave you a voicemail if I call you today, go and get that sorted. At Smart Recruitment, we will be calling people today to start jobs tomorrow. If we can't leave them a message, or even if we do leave them a message, we'll move on to calling the next person. So you need to have a voicemail and you need to call back. But you also need to answer the phone in a positive and a professional manner. Show interest in the person that you're meeting. I'm a person too. Ask me why I like working here. Do a little bit of research into me or the other person that you're meeting. That's completely okay. What it actually does is it shows you've got interest in who you're meeting with. You're building some rapport. You're communicating in a positive way. Ask for honest feedback. There's absolutely nothing wrong with asking for feedback. What it actually shows is that you're keen on this job. What it also actually shows is that you're keen on improving, that you're open to learning, developing and growing. And have a thankful attitude. At the end of every discussion about a job, thank the person. Just want to thank you for meeting with me today. I really appreciate you spending 30 minutes interviewing me. These are just some little things. But if you can do them, again, it's a competitive process. It could be enough. Could be enough to leapfrog you over the other candidates to getting the job. On the other hand, we want to avoid making it difficult to be reached. Don't make it difficult to be reached. We don't want to be slow. If someone's asked you to send through a reference or complete a test or send through some work or call them back at a certain time, honor that. Do it as quick as you can. You are on show. Don't be vague or inconsistent with information. Make sure you know what is on your resume. Make sure you are sure of the dates. And avoid speaking negatively. As we've said a few times today, you might have left your last job because the boss was really inappropriate, for example. And it might have been a horrible situation for you to live through for, say, 12 months. However, you want to be remembered of what you're going to bring to the organization, not why you are leaving the last one. All right, how to negotiate a higher salary offer. Well, this is a big one, isn't it? Because most people feel uncomfortable talking about their salary. Even people who earn a lot of money, even CEOs, will often feel uncomfortable talking about their own salary. So, what should you do? What should you do if you want to negotiate a higher salary offer? So let's pretend we've got a situation. You are really wanting to earn $60,000. However, you've been offered $50,000. Let's work our way through how we could actually negotiate getting a higher salary offer because we want the employer to show us the money. So the first thing we need to understand is this salary negotiable? Because sometimes the answer is no. If you are going for a role in a government department, for example, the salary is set. So if they've offered you $50,000, they can't offer you any more. Or if you're applying for a role, let's say a customer service role at a bank, and they've got 200 people on that salary, that is not negotiable. So actually asking for a higher salary or trying to negotiate, you are going to look foolish. We also need to do our research and understand what is the market rate for the position. If you want 60, you need to be able to justify it. If every other job is paying 50 or 51 or 49, we need to understand what we are asking for. Is it reasonable? Yes, we all want to earn more money, but just because we want more money doesn't mean we're going to be offered it. So we need to build a case. All right, so let's say we've been offered 50, we want 60. We jump onto Seek, we can see there's lots of jobs that are paying 60 or 62. Maybe we've also got more experience than the advertisement. Maybe they wanted 2 years experience and we've got 5. Maybe we've got extra qualifications. Maybe we're able to start immediately. We need to build a case. We can't just say, hey, I want more money. We need to say why. Other jobs are offering this. I'm bringing more experience. I've got more qualifications. We need to demonstrate why we are worth more than the salary that's being offered. And we need to negotiate in a firm but friendly manner. It is always a risk negotiating salary. I have seen many scenarios play out where the employer actually says, well, if they're not happy with the salary offer, we will retract. Employers are allowed to retract. So you need to be prepared. If you actually really would be happy with 50, I would avoid negotiating unless it's going to mean a huge amount to you. So we need to build a case. Dot point 1, 2, and 3 are the keys there. Do our research, build a case, and demonstrate why. But we need to be prepared that the employer will walk away. All right, so our upcoming workshops, as I mentioned, so next week on Tuesday afternoon at 2:00, we are going to take a deep dive into creating a resume. I'm going to take you through all the steps to create an amazing resume. I'm going to show you 2 examples of really good resumes. I'm going to show you some really cool tools that you can use to create a great resume. And then on Wednesday, we're going to follow up. So Wednesday afternoon with a session just on cover letters. So wherever you are watching me this morning, you can watch again on Tuesday at 2 and on Wednesday at 2. But if you're still wanting more assistance, just a reminder of all the resources that are available to you on our candidate coaching platform. We have 12 video coaching episodes that you can go and watch today. We've got resume and cover letter templates that you can download and use. We have interview questions to practice. We have online tests that you can take to understand your skill set. We have checklists that you can download, articles to read, advice for executive job seekers, mental health support, more information on our upcoming workshops, and it's all available to you for free. Before you go, though, I would absolutely love to get your feedback. So I'm going to drop a 2-minute survey link into the chat box now. And before you go, if you could just click on that link, I would love to hear from you what you gained out of the session today. And we also ask what you would like to hear about in upcoming sessions. Also include a link to our LinkedIn page. Certainly follow our LinkedIn page because we put a lot of tips and updates on there. We share all of our workshops, and you can keep abreast of everything that's happening with the candidate coach. Mental health when looking for work is really important. We are very aware at the candidate coach that when you are looking for work, and particularly if you are unemployed, it can really help. It can really, make you feel not at the top of your game. So we'll finish today with this video. So somebody's just asked how to access the other two seminars. So wherever you are watching this seminar, this workshop today, be back here at 2:00. So we restream onto our pages. So come back to wherever you are, same place next week. So thank you everybody for joining. We'll conclude with this video. Have a great day.
If you're not feeling terrific at the moment and you feel like your mental well-being has taken a little bit of a dip, please remember this is not going to last forever. There's lots you can do to manage your mental health and get back on top of it. I am Dr. Sarah Barker. I'm a clinical psychologist. I've worked in workplace mental health with Black Dog Institute for the past 7 years. I work with a lot of adults and young people, mainly with anxiety, depression, trauma as well, a range of issues, and many who are looking for work and undergoing that process of trying to find employment. Looking for work causes mental strain because our identity is tied up with our work. Work gives us meaning, it gives us purpose, it gives us company and connection. So it's stressful for lots of reasons looking for work, and it can take a toll on our mental health. It's really important for us to be aware of the signs that our well-being and our mental health might be dropping. Probably the biggest sign is changes in behaviour. So that might be changes in the way we're thinking or talking to ourselves. We might be saying things like, who would employ me? I'll never get a job. We might be really down on ourselves and really hard and critical on ourselves when normally we're not so hard and critical. We might also, in our relationships, change our behaviour. We might be more snappy or more irritable with people that we love, that normally we might be a little bit irritable sometimes, but not irritable in that way. Losing interest in things that usually sparked us and ignited us and gave us joy. So perhaps usually we like walking the dog and suddenly we start thinking, I can't be bothered walking the dog today. That sort of thing, those changes in behaviour are really significant because they tell us that something's different, and if we're noticing, I suppose, more than one of those and it's affecting the way we feel, and this is over a period of say 2 weeks or longer, then it's a really good idea to have a chat to a GP that you trust, and find out what might be going on, have a discussion and see if there's any physical reasons for that, or if perhaps your mental health and wellbeing might be able to do with a little bit of extra support, and then the GP can refer you on to see a psychologist, a counsellor, whoever is most appropriate for you. There are so many great things you can do to look after your mental health when you're looking for work, and it's really important that you do. My very top tip would be really talking kindly to yourself and being compassionate with yourself. I think when we're looking for work, we can have a lot more questions like, will I ever get a job? Will I ever be employed? It can feel like this could go on forever. So being kind to ourselves and saying things like, it will work out. There will be a day, my efforts will be rewarded. It will just take time. I just need to keep trying. reminding yourself of your strengths. And that might even be tapping into people you love and asking them what your strengths are, because sometimes it's harder to find them when our mood's a bit low and we're feeling more worried. We can be harder on ourselves. I think that routine is really, really important to our well-being. When we're looking for work, we mightn't have such a regular routine because there mightn't be a 9 to 5 start and finish time for a job, or there isn't. So instead, thinking about looking for work as a job in itself can be helpful. Having a start time and a finish time can be really helpful, and some set tasks that you hope to achieve that day. Purpose is really important too. So purpose might come through routine, but it can also come through other things. Meaning's really important, and our work gives us meaning. So when we're looking for work, meaning mightn't feel like it's there as much. Part of what we can do is infuse those tasks with meaning. So I am doing these things today, I'm looking for work, and that is meaningful in itself, because there's an end goal to this. It will be something that's good for me and good for the people that I love as well. Some excellent resources for looking after well-being when looking for work are the Headgear app. The Headgear app is free, it's evidence-based, it's developed by Black Dog Institute, and it is fun to use. It uses mindfulness, so a technique to really help us relax and reduce physiological arousal, which can often occur when we're feeling anxious. It's got a 30-day challenge, which is just short, bite-sized little challenges to extend your well-being and grow your well-being, and that can be really extra important when we're looking for work. There are also some really terrific resources available through the Black Dog Institute. One of them is a beautiful self-care plan that encourages you to think about your top coping tips, the things that personally work best for you, that are positive coping strategies. Another really good resource is through Beyond Blue, and they've got some excellent resources to look after mental health while looking for work, and also when people are recently out of work as well. Probably time to seek professional assistance when you notice your mood is lower and you're feeling more down than usual, when you're worrying more and perhaps worrying excessively about things that you wouldn't normally worry about, and perhaps in your relationships too, when you're more tense with people and perhaps more snappy or irritable. All of these are signs that perhaps our mood is not in the greatest space, and our well-being is not in the greatest space, and that it can be a great idea then to chat to your GP, who can then refer you to an appropriate person to help you strengthen your well-being. It's very common for people to have a dip, but please know that that's not going to last forever, and that there's lots you can do through looking after yourself, but also through getting access to professional support that can really give you a boost again and get you back feeling good as you're looking for work.